If you spend a little bit of time hanging around Bunker Hill, you'll eventually be approached by a ghoul mercenary looking for good people to work for him. Accept his vague offer to go do vague stuff, and you'll be directed to go down to the Cabot house, which is very nearby Bunker Hill, just across the bridge. It's amazingly untouched by the nuclear war that happened 2 years ago, and then all the other things to come along after that nuclear war. Try not to make eye contact or gun contact with the robots around you, and hit the buzzer right outside the house to be allowed in. You'll meet your new boss, Jack, who's an eccentric to say the least, and soon you'll be assigned your first job, which is to head out north to an asylum where Jack has some business operations and retrieve a serum that's been stolen. Be careful because the enemies this far north in the map and to the east are very tough, however it's only going to be raiders. Kill the raiders, and on their leader there should be a mysterious serum, which you'll notice right off the bat has a ridiculous radiation reduction as well as some crazy high buffs in it. Bring the serum back to the Cabot house, and if your speech is high enough you can lie about not finding any and keep it for yourself. However, if you can't, don't worry, there's going to be a lot more of this stuff in your near future. Before you're even done handing back the serum to Jack Cabot, his mother will be complaining that his sister Emma-Jean has fled the house again. Get a bit of details from Jack and Edward, and you'll be off to Good Neighbor to finish the quest Emma-Jean Takes the Lover. Head to the third rail at Good Neighbor and talk to Charlie Whitechapel. After a bit of buttering up, he'll tell you to go talk to the jazz singer, who will then tell you after a couple speech checks that Emma-Jean has ran off with that cult that's nearby on the coast. Make your way to the Charles View Amphitheater, which should be marked on your map now, and you'll meet the cult known as the Pillars of Community. Find the leader of the Pillars of Community and have a little chat with him. Using various means, you'll eventually get him to open up about where Emma-Jean's hanging out, and also, if you happen to have wiped out this cult previously, you will get a special speech option which will let you mention the fact that you killed all the previous residents of this little amphitheater. If you aren't in the social mood, however, and you've got a decent lockpicking skill, you can just sneak around to the back and pop the door open manually with little to no repercussions. Talk to Emma-Jean and explain the circumstances given, and she'll decide to tell you the true purpose of the serum that you collected. It turns out that that's actually an immortality sort of panacea thing. If you happen to have John Hancock with you and you still have that serum on your person, you can give it to her for some big brownie points. Otherwise, she'll go off and do her own thing, and you'll be made to return back to the Cabot house knowing that she's safe now. When you return to the Cabot house, you'll notice that Jack is playing around with the ham radio and there seems to be some sort of situation at the asylum. After explaining what happened with Emma-Jean, you'll be immediately told to meet Jack over at the asylum and to be ready for a big fight, seeing as it looks like the raiders got their hands on some of that serum and now they're insanely strong. In reality, they're not that tough, and they'll go down with conventional weaponry, no problem. Meet Jack next to a pile of dead mercenaries in the front of the asylum, and be ready for a pretty long fight. The raiders aren't particularly tough, however, there's a lot of them, and there's a lot of corridors and stuff that you're going to have to shoot your way through. When you finally advance your way to Edward, you'll learn that the elevator's been shut down, and you'll have to take an auxiliary route. Follow Jack to the bottom level of the asylum, and be prepared to meet Lorenzo, the source of all this serum business. After a long conversation where it seems that Lorenzo isn't quite as crazy as Jack painted him out to be, you'll have the choice of either hitting all 4 failsafe switches to kill Lorenzo or freeing him. Before you make your decision, however, be sure to eliminate the raiders and loot them thoroughly, as one of them will have 4 vials of the serum on their person. If you were to kill Lorenzo, you'll be rewarded 500 caps, more or less, back at the Cabot house when everything's all calmed down, and eventually Jack will find a way to pry the artifact from his father's dead body and give you the artifact gun, which is like a beefed up gamma gun that rather than doing radiation damage, gives crazy knockback to whatever it hits. Alternatively, if you decide to free Lorenzo instead, he'll explain to you that he has to go and kill the rest of his family for what they've done to him, which it turns out that he's not really crazy, but he's been imprisoned for 400 years being milked like some sort of blood cow for that serum. If you choose this route, head back to the Cabot house, and Jack and family will be rather pissed off at what you did. The conversation will be abruptly halted, though, when Lorenzo appears on the balcony. Before this all starts, though, Edward will want to have a talk with you. Passing a medium speech check will make Edward fight for you guys, seeing as Edward was never really treated with kindness when it came to the Cabot family, and that he doesn't really know Lorenzo, he just knows what he's been told about him. After this fight, Lorenzo will agree to give you an unlimited supply of the serum. He'll only give you one thing of serum at a time, and you're not allowed to sell it, give it away, or use it on anyone that is not you, and somehow he will know if you're trying to pull a fast one on him. But the stuff is pretty much a permanent buff, and it will take away 10 rads a second for 5 literal hours. Not in-game, but literal hours of playtime. Then, if you really want, there's a third way of handling the situation, where you turn on most of the failsafes, but not all of them, free Lorenzo, and then just to see if you can take him, murder Lorenzo. You'll get the same reward results as if you killed Lorenzo the normal way, but the Cabot family will be a little pissed at you. As a final note on this quest, don't bother with the Zeta gun you get off Jack Cabot, or the one you can find inside of his study at the top of the house. It's actually a gimped version of the Gamma gun that's meant to be some way of subduing his father Lorenzo, but not very good at the practical application of killing people out in the wasteland. That'll do it for this quest. If you liked this video or found it helpful, be sure to like and favorite the video so that you can come back later and figure out parts of the quest, and make sure to keep your friends in mind if they're having trouble with this quest by sharing the video with all of them that need it. Be sure to subscribe for more Fallout 4 quest guides and whatever other cool things I can find in the near future, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.